Suppose that the market supply curve for shoes is upward sloping, and the market demand curve is downward sloping. How will the imposition of a sales tax on shoes affect the consumer surplus, the producer surplus, and the total surplus? So in this question, we're given that there's market supply for shoes, and the slope is upward sloping. The supply is upward sloping. So let's draw a price by quantity graph and draw out this supply, which is upward sloping. Now the demand curve is also downward sloping, so this would look like this. And we're asked what would happen to the consumer surplus, producer surplus, and the total surplus if there is a sales tax. So let's see what happens if they're before the sales tax. Let's draw out this surplus. To begin with, we'll identify the intersection point between supply and demand, and then we'll draw a dashed line out to the price where it intersects the y-axis and outwards. And now we can clearly see that there are two sections. This upper section here represents the consumer surplus, which is sort of half triangle, and then the bottom section is the producer surplus. So this is also another half triangle. This whole triangle together is the total economic surplus. Now let's see what happens after the imposition of the sales tax. So to depict this, we'll draw another graph, a price by quantity graph, where there's supply and then demand. But now there's a sales tax. Because of this sales tax, supply will shift to the left because they will be able to produce less and it'll cost more for them to produce. So call this supply. Now, because of this, there's a tax region too through the surplus. And well, to begin with, let's identify the equilibrium point, which is now this point. And now to identify the region of the tax that goes towards the government, we'll draw a dashed line down to the original supply curve, and then draw a dashed line out to the price from both of these ends. And this area represents the tax, the money that goes to tax. The upper section still represents the consumer surplus. The bottom section still represents the producer surplus. This triangle here represents a economic concept known as deadweight loss, which is basically lost economic surplus. And now, if we were to analyze this, we can clearly see that the consumer surplus and the producer surplus decrease significantly, and the total economic surplus as a whole also decreases significantly, because if we were to add up the consumer surplus up here and the producer surplus down here, it would not add up to the original two triangles here. So we know the consumer surplus decreases, producer surplus decreases, and total surplus decreases. And if we're looking at the answer choices, we can clearly see that this matches to answer choice A, which says that all of the three different surpluses decrease. So A is the correct answer.